Yes, people, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. And today we're going to take a look at two things. One thing is that Christianity seems to be on the rise massively, but then exactly at the same time, persecution of Christianity is on the rise massively. But how can these two things coexist? I'm going to take a look at a few clips to kind of explain how and why these two things coexist at the same time, and by one propelling, the other one propels, and by the other one propelling, the other one still propels. So let's take a look.
Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity.
So a quick clip, but what is that saying? That is Donald Trump, the President of the United States, claiming that Christianity is the most persecuted religion in the world. Is that correct or is that false? We know that is correct. You've seen it in... And the thing is, it's because it's not mainstream. The mainstream levels aren't going to shout about this. Why? Because it doesn't get a lot of views. It doesn't get a lot of clicks. It doesn't get a lot of sympathy. It just doesn't. People don't seem to care as much than when something else is being persecuted. I mean, we see it all over. At the minute, we see all the persecution in Nigeria. We see all the persecution in China. You see the persecution in North Korea. You see the persecution of Christians in loads of different countries. In the Muslim countries around the world, you see the persecution of Christianity to an extreme extent. And not many people are shouting about it, which is interesting. And it'd be interesting, why aren't these people shouting about it? Why don't the mainstream media shout about the hundreds of thousands of people dying in Nigeria because of Christian persecution? Your guess is as good as mine. But you can go and find out yourself. You can go search up yourself. You can go and see it yourself, that the stats don't lie. In fact, let's have a look. The large scale of slaughter of any religious group deserves robust, stubborn media coverage. Correct. We can all agree on that. Merciless persecution of Christians in Nigeria is the most overlooked and yet newsworthy story in the country's media landscape. But why is it not? Why is it not? Nigeria is a charmingly vibrant, dynamic capital of the Christian world, with nearly 100 million believers. Paradox, it's the deadliest country in the world to be a Christian. So that's an interesting paradigm, innit? Where there's the most Christians, it is also the most deadly to be one. Why does Christianity thrive under persecution? So 12 Nigerian Christians die every single day because of their faith. That's not dying of old age. That's not dying of any diseases. That is someone killing them because of their faith. 12 people a day. That's outrageous. That's 1 every 2 hours between October 2022 and September 2023. 4,108. What's that? 4,118 people died in Nigeria simply for identifying as a Christian. It's mad. It's crazy. And those numbers have only gone up and skyrocketed since. And then look at this stat. More than 16.2 million Christians in sub-Saharan Africa, including high numbers from Nigeria, have been driven from their homes by violence and conflict, and millions now living in camps. The persecution of any people is wrong. The persecution of any person because their religion is wrong or their beliefs is wrong and should be highlighted, and is highlighted a lot of the time. But for this to just not be highlighted at all is outrageous and says a lot. It says a lot about people's perspectives on Christianity. And people who so-called pro-life, people who care about the life of people, all of a sudden seem to not care as much. So let's take a look at these other two clips. So Africa is now the most Christian continent in the world despite massive persecution of Christians in Africa. 700 million Africans identify as Christians. That's mad. And it's literally saying there, proving that faith, even when tested by fire, can grow stronger than fear. What are we saying? Under persecution, Christianity thrives. Why? One, because it's the truth, and the truth will set you free, and the truth thrives no matter what. I think the truth thrives even more under persecution, because it's being persecuted because it's true. You wouldn't go out and persecute something necessarily that you don't believe to be true, because you can articulate why you don't think it's true. You can articulate why it's not true. You can make points as to why it's not true, and you can do it over dialect. But if you can't do that, then this is when it results to how we're going to get other ways to people stop spreading the truth. What extreme measures are we going to take for people to stop spreading the truth and talking about what's true? And you see it in countries like this, you're starting to see it in the West, you're starting to see it in plenty of places where Christians are persecuted in so many ways. And obviously in the West, it's much lower. I don't want to compare it at all to people being killed. But we saw someone in France recently die because of their belief in Christ. Let me try to find out. So that's what I'm talking about. Thousands in France protest against Christian persecution. Thousands gather in Paris on September 28th to protest the rising persecution of Christians in France and around the world. Over 1,500 people came together, Catholics, Protestants, all kinds of denominations, to denounce Christianophobia. You put the phobia at the end of something, people don't want to touch it anymore. A banner reads, "Christians are killed. The world stays silent." And the event was sparked by the brutal killing of Asher Sarnea, an Assyrian Christian who was stabbed to death while live streaming his faith in Lyon on the 10th of September. Lyon, if you don't know, is in France. So that's in Europe. That's in a first world country, as you would say. That is in a country where people don't get killed every day because of what they believe, but it's starting to happen by the looks of it. It's starting to creep in. So, and also Donald Trump delivered a speech to the United Nations where he called on world leaders to protect Christians' religious liberty and to take action against the persecution of believers worldwide. He stated Christianity is the most persecuted religion across the globe and urged countries to defend Christians who suffer for their faith. So what is this highlighting? For some reason, Christianity thrives under persecution. For some reason, Christianity is being persecuted. Why is Christianity being persecuted? Does it incite any reason to be persecuted? Does it incite violence? Taken to its extreme, what does Christianity do? Does it incite anyone to go out and harm anyone? No. Taken to its extreme, what does Christianity do? It tells you to love your neighbour, it tells you to love God. The most important thing Jesus said is to love your neighbour and to love God. So taken to its extreme, what are you going to do? Love your neighbour a bit more? Love your neighbour to the extreme. Yeah, this is what is being persecuted. Just ponder on that and think about that for a minute. Think about Christianity doesn't incite violence upon anyone. It incites treating your neighbour as yourself. It incites loving your enemies. It incites being charitable. It incites looking after the least of these. Yeah, it is the most persecuted religion. Why? I think one reason why is because without having to incite violence, without any of these things, Christians still stand firm on what they believe because it is the truth and because Christians can articulate why it is the truth. People don't like that. Also, Christianity is the one religion. Jesus is the one person who you don't have to work towards, who you can accept free. Yet Jesus highlights the wrong in our lifestyles because he's perfect. Jesus highlights the wrong in all of our lifestyles, no matter who you are, which challenges you to do something about that. Because, Christianity and the gospel and salvation is accepted through accepting Jesus Christ into your life, and that's it. But once you do that, once you realize you're dirty, and you get in the shower and you allow God to make you clean, which is what he does, the fruit of your life should change, and your actions as a byproduct of these things, of God changing your perspective, of God changing your heart, of God molding you to be a bit more like him, God molding you to be the person you're called to be, God calling you to a higher standard, God calling you to love others, God calling you to put your self-centeredness down, God calling you to something more. It takes the self-centeredness of us all away. And in this Western world, what have we been told? For years and years, you're the best thing since sliced bread. Your world, your choice, your world, you. But Christianity says it's not about you. And then there's a conflict there because the truth contrasts with your truth, and your truth is subjective and my truth is objective because it was on the foundation of Christ and it's on the foundation of God who created the heavens and the earth, and you created you. What's the best for you? Once you just thrive on this side of eternity as well as the next. I came across this quote which is really, really interesting, which kind of holistically puts together a lot of my thoughts on some of this, in our generation. The gospel sounds very strange to a generation that has been told they are perfect. Loving themselves is virtuous, their heart is always right, and nothing is more important than being happy. Ponder on that, think about that. And say one of the most interesting things I've found out recently, being happy. So we have emotions for a reason, right? We have emotions for a reason. God gave us those emotions. But being happy is one of the most rare emotions, apparently. It's one of the most rare emotions to actually feel, and it's always strive after it. It's not actually a healthy emotion to feel all the time because you have your other emotions for a reason. So one, just think about that. It's actually quite a rare emotion to feel, and you shouldn't feel it all the time because you have your other emotions. You have your emotions to be sad sometimes, to be empathetic. You have some level of fear of emotions to keep you safe. All these kind of emotions that holistically work together. And what it sounds very strange to a generation that's told they're perfect and loving themselves is a virtue. Loving yourself. What does loving yourself mean? Because it's very interesting. Because all these things, if you're being told you're perfect, you can't do anything wrong. You objectively can. And loving yourself puts you as the main priority in your life, which is not a way to be happy anyway. People will know that if you put you as number one, you as the main priority in your life, you're not going to be happy because of that. You're seeing it, people grind. People get everything they want, and all of a sudden they realize they're not happy. And I think as a generation, because Christianity points out objectively against all these things, that you are not the main character. You are not perfect. Your heart doesn't always tell you the truth. Your thoughts don't always tell you the truth. Your thoughts on your heart lie to you. How do we know that? Because how many thoughts have you had which contradicts what you know is the right thing to do? But you do them anyway. So that tells me how my thoughts lie to me. If my thought told me to do something horrendous, my thought told me to cheat my wife, I know that's the wrong thing to do. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand firmly against doing that. So there you go. I know my thoughts lie to me. If I have to filter all my thoughts through what? Through an objective reality, through an objective truth. And what is your objective truth? If you have none, and your truth is relative and changes all the time and changes with the way you feel and you think, you have no truth to filter these things through. Therefore, you live an unstable life. You don't know how to love yourself because your thoughts and your feeling and your idea of love is changing all the time. It's not on the objective reality. It's not an objective truth, and that objective truth is Christ. And it is a safe objective truth. It's the true objective truth that God knows us better than we know ourselves. And what he says about us matters more than what we think about ourselves and what our thoughts tell us. And the Bible tells us to take each thought captive. It says to renew our minds daily, which is congruent with what my reality and what I experience, where my thoughts lie to me. I need to take those thoughts captive and then filter them through the objective reality of Christ and what he says is virtuous and what he says is the right thing to do. Or is that found? That's found in the Bible. It's found getting into your word, understanding your word, living in a community of people who can help you do that, living in a community of people who can point you something more and call you out of yourself to love others, be around others and serve others. As if the main character, the main guy, Jesus, God came down as himself to serve others. Who are we to think we're the main character and not serve others? And that tells me that by serving others, there's a level of thriving that comes through that. And by doing that, I know that to be true. So I think as we land the plane, the main thoughts are what? The main thoughts are ponder why Christianity is the most persecuted religion. But it rises at the same time. It continues to rise at a rapid rate while under persecution. Why? Because it's true. And if it wasn't true, it would dim it down. Number two, check the objective reality of our lives. Or what is the objective reality of our life? Or are we living our lives on a subjective relative changing all the time? And how does that serve you? And has that served you? And I will tell you now, 99% of people it hasn't. But God could serve that. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. And I'd like to know your thoughts on the video. I'd like to know your thoughts on the persecution. I'd like to know your thoughts on the media, not worldwide spreading this, like they might do with something else and like they do with other things. So we'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, do a comment, do it, whatever the YouTuber things are. Get it done. If you enjoyed the video, there's plenty more videos to go check a look at. And for now, it's Saturday today, so it's Sunday tomorrow, so get yourself in church. If you're thinking about it, go. And for now, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.